to Similani.
Round of 16 qualifying rules, Investec Champions Cup. We've had a big debate about this, Zels. You didn't know what you were talking about. I didn't know what I was talking about. Simon Borchardt, SA Rugby Magazine's magnificent editor, solved it all for us. This is how it works. The top 4 clubs in each pool will qualify for the round of 16. Clubs will then be ranked overall 1 to 16, based first on their pool position, then on total match points earned. Pool winners will be ranked 1 to 4, second place clubs 5 to 8, third place clubs 9 to 12, fourth place clubs 13 to 16. Clubs ranked 1 to 8 will have the home advantage in the round of 16 Investec Champions Cup. The fifth place club in each pool will qualify for the EPCR Challenge Cup round of 16. And if you end 6th, you're going nowhere.
Get out.
You're going into
It's
a domestic
over.
competition.
Yeah. Okay.
So round 3, round 4 next weekend, those double-header fortnights, huge intensity. And as we said on Monday, in our first show of the year, which a lot of people watch, I think 125,000 people watch that on Facebook.
Incredible.
YouTube, you better catch up, mate. 25,000, we need 30, going for 35, going for 40. But thanks for that. The support's always wonderful. I know you came in to hear Zell's analysis. A lot of us giving you a lot of whippings there. They say, I asked you 3 times, Zels. Keo asked you 3 times, and you refused to even talk about the Bulls. But you've already played
I
them.
can tell you, mate, but I'd have to kill you. We're playing them again, mate. We are playing them
Promise.
again. Hello, Harry.
Now tell me about Quins. And then go tell Quins about Quins. But some great matchups this weekend.
Fabulous matchup.
From a South African perspective, it's the mighty Bulls against the Bristol Bears. Big bear hug. It's a bull against a bear. The Sharks are going to Manchester to be shredded to come back as tuna.
Ooh.
And the Stormers are sending a mix and match to London in 2 degrees to play at Twickenham Stoop against a Harlequin side that has won 2 from 9 in the Prem and have been told that half their squad is on notice.
On the chopping
Lose
block.
on Sunday and you eat.
Get it back.
And you eat. Are you as excited as I am?
I am, mate. I am. There's some cracking games there. I love your enthusiasm around the Bulls, mate. I saw that. I noticed your powder blue shirt there, mate, as well. But no, some great games. Bristol, obviously, contenders in the Premiership. Harlequins with some razzle-dazzle X-Factor and historically a very dangerous team that can switch it on any given day. Playing in the sort of frozen tundra there at the Stoop. And then the Sharks, mate, this bizarre off-the-field controversy. I don't know how much of it is theatre and how much of it is legit, mate, but seems to be a lot riding on this one for the 2 Sharks franchises. I doubt either of those teams are going to surrender their names based on this result. And I think it probably just ramps up the pressure a little bit on poor old JP Peterson, who's trying to piece things together there. So you don't think the Sharks are going to win at Sale. You don't think Bristol are going to win at Loftus. And where are you on Stormers Harlequins, mate?
Mate, no one wins at the Stoop.
No one wins. It's a draw.
Not on a Friday night. Oh, they played on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think that Marco Mazzotti is great for the game.
That was the most believable thing you've said.
He's great for the game. His marketing skills are amazing. I don't think the 23 players who have to front Sale Sharks in 2 degrees appreciate him being so confident about, we're going to shred you and call you tuna like you should be.
Can you just pipe it down there?
Whoa, owner, whoa.
Marco.
What's it, Alex Anderson saying? We have noticed a disrespect to our club. We have noticed for the last 2 years a disrespect to our club.
Wow.
And we just want to say to a team that calls themselves the Sharks, you're coming from 30 degrees humidity to 2 degrees on a cold, wet night in Manchester, and we welcome you.
Yeah, indeed.
And every oak from the Sharks who's sitting at home in their 30 degrees humidity this weekend says, thanks, Mr. Mazzardi.
Yeah.
Thanks, JP, for not picking me.
This is a good one to miss.
But Sale Sharks, they've been good. They've got a good side. They're a tough nut to crack at home. And this would be the week that you would think it's a good week to kind of be on holiday and to turn off your social media account. But it looks like Mr. Mazzotti has turned his on.
Full blast.
But kudos to him, man. He's spoken a big game for the last 2-3 years, saying there's only one team that should be called the Sharks. It's not the
I love
Cronulla
it.
Sharks.
I think it's
not
great.
the Sale Sharks.
Yeah.
It's the Bollywood Bet Sharks.
The Hollywood Bet Sharks. Yes.
The Bollywood
yes,
Bet
yes, I
Sharks,
heard that.
okay?
Yes.
You did hear that,
Yes.
Good. So, tough ask. Full strength Shark side, always got a chance going somewhere when the Springboks are there, are available. But a mix and match, you're back to where they were when they played. It's going to be a similar side to the one that went to Toulouse and took a pounding. Youngsters will be better for the experience, but the Sharks won't be better on the, and I'm talking about the Durban-based Sharks, won't be better on the table because of that. I think it does add some nice spice
Definitely.
to a round.
Yeah, I think
And has it ever happened that the Sharks have played the Sharks, so only one winner will be the Sharks,
Indeed.
unless it's a draw
Can you bet on just the Sharks win?
or a draw?
Yeah. I like that.
What are the odds for a draw?
Sailfish. I don't know. Let's have a look, mate.
You don't have to look now.
Let's
mate,
find it.
Mate, you don't have to look.
find it.
I'll speak to Money Man. Go to
You'll
Africa
know, that's a
Picks.
great point.
Go to Africa Picks. We don't have to take up 28 seconds while you're looking for it. I asked you to prepare.
What are the odds, mate?
I said you're giving me
What
no
are the odds?
analysis. And now just please prepare the schedules, and you're not even doing that.
Mate, come on.
But I can see you've been in the gym, mate.
Mate,
Look at the size of
look
those
at this.
arms.
Here's the odds. Here's the odds. Here's the odds.
Okay.
Okay, mate.
What's the
Let's
odds
have a
of the
look.
draw?
I'm not going to mention the brand names, mate, but let's just say that Sale are overwhelming favourites to win this game. They don't give a handicap over here. This is just the odds.
Okay, so they'll be shredded.
But
that's
that's 8-1 against the Sharks.
8-1.
The Durban Sharks. One bloke's got
That's
them
what
at
you call
9.8 to
that's
1.
what you call shredded and packaged tin tuna.
45 to 1 on the draw, mate.
45-1. If you got a couple of bucks, don't put it there. Keep them. Why are we even talking about the
I don't
Sharks
know.
at the moment, okay? It's not a game that they're going to win purely because they're not sending their best team, and they will back themselves to get a last win at home and hopefully qualify and be in that top 16.
Yeah.
And then, as with the Bulls, you do back a full-strength Shark side to go anywhere and be competitive.
Yeah.
But what I do love about this last week to 10 days, completely different mentality around the competition, around the back end of the pool stages, even form from the domestic competitions. And I think that's what makes this competition so hard, Zels, to play in, because your form mid-December is so irrelevant when it comes to the second week of January.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, to win the Champions Cup, you've got to be consistently successful in your domestic competition and then find a way to parlay that into success in the European competition, which involves, in some cases, significant travel. So it is hell of a challenging, and to keep that sort of form consistent in spite of injuries and sort of factors outside of your control for the duration of that competition is hell of a tough. You go to the World Cup, you just got to keep it together for 6 weeks. But to win the Champions Cup, you've got to keep it together for months and months, mate. That is, it's hell of a challenging.
But even keeping it together, the weather is something that
Sure.
you wouldn't then encounter ordinarily.
Yeah.
So you go from, as Saunderson said, you go from 25, 30 degrees humidity, 3 o'clock in an afternoon in Durban, to a night in Manchester where it's 1 degree. It does change the way a team plays.
Totally.
It affects a game management, a style of play,
Totally.
and it certainly affects the players. And that since South Africa's introduction, I think that has really added something dynamic to the difficulty of this competition. Is when you have to play that one game in South Africa, or if a high-riding team like the Stormers go to London, there's a chance that they can be upset even by a side that's not performing well just because of weather conditions.
No, totally. And South Africa adds that wrinkle with the heat factor for those European teams coming here and the altitude. So definitely added major value to the competition, I think. I think probably in the old days, the trip to France was probably the edge of the frontier for those Champions Cup teams. Sloppy, winter weather fields in France. But now you got to go all the way to South Africa, hit the high fault, and for the South African teams to go north. I think the challenge there is for the backs. I think the forwards look forward to it. The tighties can't wait to be in the snow, mate. Finally, they can actually run for more than 30 minutes without dying of heat exhaustion. So for the backs, it's a bit different. The wingers, you want to get involved nice and early, because otherwise you're standing out there just growing snot sickles. So It's going to be an interesting weekend. I'm looking forward to the clash of hemispheres and conditions, I suppose.
All right. Durban Sharks.
The Sharks.
The Sharks, the South African-based Sharks. Not the tuna, not yet.
Yeah.
On Monday, I said, I see that JP Peterson was very kind, and he said, what JP says to the media is not necessarily what he said to the players. But then I saw that uncut, raw version of what he said to the players. Should have, would have, could have, had to have, should have been our win. But guys, I'm so proud of you. Sia, incredible. 15-0 down, came back 18-0. Then we led 22-18. He said then, or 18-7, then we led 22-18. This game we should have won. We're going to do something special. We're going to do something special.
Okay.
And I thought, I expected something a little bit different.
Yeah.
You just lost to a Lions team that you shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah.
You're speaking to a back-to-back World Cup winning captain.
Yeah.
He'll be gutted they lost that game. He wasn't on the field when those decisions were made.
Totally.
I just wanted a little bit of horror.
A little bit more fire. I mean, JP needs to be the World Cup winning winger, who arguably is sort of top 3 in Bok history at the position, not the young coach trying to sort of find his way in the coaching world. And I think he, as a player, he definitely held himself to higher standards in that. And I think if you're working with a team that is young and inexperienced and lacking in confidence, you maybe do need to nurture them along like that. But when you've got a team loaded with double World Cup winners, like you say, I think some tough love is probably more in order there. I don't know how much of that stuff is sort of fabricated, how much of it is legit and uncut. I don't know. But I think the way back for the Sharks is definitely to hold themselves to the standards that has won World Cups for a bunch of those players, not to kind of make everybody feel good about coming close to winning.
Yeah, and in the context, and we said, there is just a new coach, that resurgence. They got the win against the Bulls. They scrapped for it. Looked like they had blown a game they were totally in control of, but they got it in the last 5 minutes. And then to back that up in a derby, they had to at home. And they didn't. And that, again, is a little bit of concern. They send in an understrength team to Sale. Overwhelming favourites. Sale, as you said, 8-1. So they'll take a loss there. Then you're looking again, they got to defend not going 3 from 3 at home in their last encounter. They come unstuck there, and you're back into the URC, and you're in a slump again.
Yeah.
So the importance for me of that defeat could be significant going into the next 2 or 3 months. Not just in the URC, but in the whole mentality and psyche around the Sharks. But enough of them.
Okay. I thought we were leading up.
What do you think of the Sharks?
I think they are a team loaded with talent, mate, and they are underperforming. I feel like they're a team that can click quickly if they get their mojo together. I think, they could probably play some smarter rugby at times. I think they get an A for effort. Definitely have power in that team across the board. So I haven't written them off. They're a team that can bounce back. And the Stormers are a great example of that. Last season, people had written them off, Dobbo was getting death threats kind of thing. And then they won 5 in a row at the end or whatever it was to get all the way as far as they went. So I just feel like the Sharks are a team that has the quality on the roster to turn things around and potentially turn things around quickly. And like the Bulls, they just need to get back to winning now. So they mustn't be thinking about the campaign and the long-term goals. The next game is the most important game, and you just want to get back into winning ways and then build some confidence and momentum and grow from there. That's sort of the launch pad. So that's my thoughts on the Sharks, mate.
You say Dobbo was getting something.
I firmly, mate.
Just checking so that's not misinterpreted. We can't have other sides saying Dobbo's death threats.
Yeah.
Or tell us about it. What was Nick Mallett doing in the coach's box? Who is Zellum Nell? Why is he there? And who's the blonde guy next to him? He's the kicking coach. Okay, so you know how you upset all the accountants last year? By saying, if you want to be an accountant, go and do that. Guys like, hey,
I am an accountant.
I'm an accountant. There's no crime about being an accountant.
Yeah.
And now, Gil's brother-in-law, Brent Peterson, is an engineer. His mate, Bradley, they're engineers. They love you because they're engineers.
See?
That's why they want insight analysis.
See?
That's
Let's build something together.
That's why they want you to kind of answer my question.
Yes.
Don't be an accountant, okay?
Yeah.
Be an engineer.
Okay.
How do the Sharks engineer their way back? How would you rebuild the
It
Sharks?
all starts with the raw materials, okay? And I think the Sharks actually have some good raw materials there, Andre the Giant, the Flinter. So yeah, no, look, the Sharks I think are guilty of probably not kicking enough this season. They're going to come up against a Cell team that kicks a lot, and the Sharks don't kick a lot. So controlling the field is going to be an issue. The Sharks obviously, I would say, have an advantage at scrum time. But Cell fancy themselves on defense, so they're going to be able to kick and come up and physically try and control things at the gain line. And I think that's the obstacle that the Sharks are going to have to overcome. And unfortunately, if the Sharks choose to carry and not to kick, the Sharks' massive error rate, handling error rate, and that sort of stuff on attack is going to potentially be a problem. So that's the thinks on the Sale Sharks versus Durban Sharks.
Okay. George Whitehead, they missed him, eh?
They missed him bigly, mate.
They missed him.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much about the player. I just think it's about the plan. And I mean, obviously the player has to execute the plan. So having a guy whose brain is full buy-in on whatever the operation is, that's great. And having a guy who's maybe going to be a bit more of a maverick can be a problem. But the key there is to get everybody onto the page, to understand why we're going to be playing, how we're going to be playing. And I think once everybody's on that sort of pulling in the same direction, then the results will come.
Okay, so it's not looking good for the Durban Sharks.
Mate, you keep saying that.
It's not looking good. Or is that just me?
It's a swim-off.
Is that just my anti-shark bias coming out? I don't know.
No, look, I mean, you wouldn't, if it's 8-1, 9-1, you wouldn't bet on the Durban Sharks, but you also, I mean, knowing who's in that squad and where they come from and some of the things they've done before, you think there's a chance.
Do you think I'm biased towards the Sharks?
I think you are 100% biased towards South African teams. You want us to win every single game.
But are the Sharks really a South African team?
Mate, not the Sale Sharks, the Sharks.
That's what I'm asking you. Obviously, I want South African teams to win every week, and I even want the Cheetahs to win.
What do you
even though
mean
they're based in the Nederland.
Oh, yeah.
In Amsterdam. Yeah, it's very cold there apparently. Eh?
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually loving it. They play there every year. And I'd rather be in Amsterdam than be in Bloemfontein, let's be honest. Okay? That's EPCR, who I am very pro about. Powder Blues.
Yes.
Dibala. I want the Bulls to put on a performance for their home crowd like they did in Cape Town, to play with mongrel, to play with intent, to play with rugby intelligence. I want those big names, the Wilkos of the world, the Grobbies, the Steenekamps, the Rowan Nokias, the Andre Pollards, the Vinnie Leroux's. I want them to stand up and show people why they should fear coming to Lofters, and the opposition shouldn't think it's a guaranteed 5 points. Northampton Saints came last year, they got 5 league points. Bordeaux got 5 league points. 33 unanswered points in that second half, or 21 unanswered points to win that game. Bulls had 33 points at halftime. Didn't score a point in that second half. Only 7,500 people pitched for that game. The Pretoria Capitals in the SA20 are getting big crowds in at Centurion, and they're losing games. Get behind the boys. Get to Loftus.
Totally.
On Saturday and watch them beat the Bristol Bears, who are 7 from 9 in the Prem and 2 from 2 in the Investec Champions Cup. They're a quality team coached by Pat Lamb. They got that magnificent Welsh winner, Louis
Reece
Zammit, who went to the NFL, played for Kansas, didn't quite make it, back in rugby union. He's worth just coming to watch. But let's get some gees going in Pretoria. Let's back Akkers, Coach Felix, and the Bok assistant coaches to do their thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Get behind the Bulls 100%. We all want to see the Bulls get back to winning ways, and obviously full Loftus, I think, is probably key to that. I don't think it should be the consequence. I think it should be the cause. Get back to the stadium, get behind the boys, and try and get them back into winning ways. And I think for the Bulls, you know, as much as Bristol are Premiership heavyweights, the Bulls need to start banking those W's, and a similar situation to the Sharks in the sense that it's about confidence and it's about erasing doubt and getting some momentum. And again, exactly like the Sharks, a roster laden with talent. In Wilco Low, you'd expect you'd have sort of scrum penalties on tap. In Willie Leroux, you got a guy who can unlock teams in the kicking game and on counter-attack. And then in Andre Pollard, you got a guy who is famous for not missing at the sticks and isn't shy to take the ball to the line and have a go. So talent across the board. Bristol are an interesting team, 4th in the Premiership, a team laden with guys you wouldn't have heard of. Massive overachieving team. I would say Pat Lamb's stalwarts have been injured for a bunch of the season. Stephen Luatua's been MIA, and Harry Randall. I think Harry Randall's the scrum half who's missed a bunch of games this season. So he'll be relying on second stringers and third stringers in some cases. So just an interesting team. A lineup other than Bernard Janssen van Rensburg, I think there's a bunch of guys there. Ellis Genge is another guy who plays for them. But generally, players you wouldn't have heard of.
Ellis Genge has had an incredible season. Have you seen some of his tries he scored? I think he's made more meters than most winners have this season.
That's never a good sign, mate.
And you know, Rassie Erasmus, when there was talk that he would go and coach England post-2019 World Cup, and he still gave that thing, who else? I wouldn't be able to give that speech to anyone else, but he did always say he would love to coach a bloke like Ellis. He really rates him highly. I mean, that guy's a quality player.
He's the guy that England rugby should build their entire game on, not the posh schoolboy guys. The guys like Ellis Genge, the street fighters, the alley thugs, that's the oak with a bit of grit. And, you know, those, I think England could be on something good there. If they just find more of that sort of player, nurture that player, bring that kind of player through with that attitude, I think he's fabulous.
If you look at the Bulls, and you see on Monday you spoke about true South African derby, brutality, intensity, no favors given, no quarter asked, no quarter given. You know, every cliche you want to throw at it, we could. That's how that first 45, 50 minutes played out in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And that's adrenaline. That's mate against mate. 10 Springboks in the current squad against 7 Springboks in the current squad.
Yeah.
Now, how do you replicate that intensity against a team from England that our public doesn't really know much about? And if you were coaching against the Bulls, what would you be looking to do? And where do you feel the Bulls need to improve from what you saw in Cape Town to kind of have a convincing win at home against a very good side from England?
Yeah, I don't think the Bulls are going to necessarily need pick themselves up the physical intensity side of things. I mean, this is a premiership team traveling halfway across the world to come and play them at the Highvelds in the heat that they're not really used to. And I think the Bulls generally have power on tap. So I don't think that necessarily will be an issue. I think technically they'll be challenged by Bristol. I think Pat Lam fancies himself as quite a sort of master tactician, and with good reason. And so they'll have looked at the way the Bulls defend, which is not very well at the moment, and they'll have spotted opportunities to take advantage of that. I think the real challenge for the Bulls is to get their brains in gear. So I think physically the brawn is going to be there, but it's just understanding what Bristol brings to the table, how they're trying to move you around the field, and where they're trying to beat you, and how they're trying to beat you, and then stopping that. So interestingly, Bristol and the Bulls are similar profile in terms of how they kick and when they kick, and their kick volume. They're both among the least kicks and the least kick meters in the Prem and in the URC. So two teams that don't really want to kick, two teams that want to attack, one team that is particularly fragile in defense, but then it has this power scrum. So I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think it's going to be lots of fun to watch. I think you're going to see two teams have a full go at each other. And in a way, that actually helps the Bulls. You know, if Bristol came here and put boot to ball at Loftus, hit grass, made the Bulls turn, and then exit, kick when they don't want to kick, and then carried from that sort of situation, I think Bristol would probably find it a bit easier. But if it's going to be an attack fest, it's just going to come down to, can the Bulls scrum, keep the Bulls on the right side of the field, and then can the defense shore up the holes to stop Bristol from getting a roll on?
All right, now that's a 3 o'clock kickoff, Bulls against Bears. Everything says Uckers will be feeding into those little gummy bears, into that little bit of Bilton, looking at Neil de Bruin, smiling, looking confident, looking relaxed. Coach Felix will be doing his few things there. You just hear the talk coming out of that camp. It sounds refreshing. It just shows you what a circus it was beforehand. It was chaos there. And I'm glad they made the change when they made the change. It may have cost them money, but the Bulls are now 6 successive defeats in all competitions. No Bulls team gets beaten 7 times in a row. I'm telling you now, you go to Africa Picks for my accumulator.
There you go, mate.
And I'm telling you, the Bulls are going to win. And the Bulls are going to win well. And it will be the start of the resurgence.
I love it.
For those guys in Pretoria, julle is terug, man.
I agree. I think the Bulls should be favourites to win this one. I think they will be good for it too. They're 2-2 at home this season. Bristol are 3-2 on the road, so something's got to give there. But I think the Bulls clinch it.
All right. In deep South Cape Town, we are backing you, Bulls. Uckers, we are backing you. Because we are about positivity.
The quiet moments.
The quiet moments, the quiet before the storm. Friday night, there's 2 fixtures in the most congested pool. It's Cast against Bath, Edinburgh at Gloucester. Edinburgh's funny side as well. Just when you think they're going nowhere, they knock over some big guns.
Yeah.
But if you look at that pool, Bath tops it with 6. All the rest have got 5 league points.
Yeah.
Everything to play for in the next fortnight in that pool in terms
three,
of
right?
in terms of the competition.
Yeah.
Then if you look on the Saturday schedule, we kick off obviously with the Bulls against the Bears, 3 p.m. in Pretoria. Clermont, the Warriors, Clermont, even though they're at home, I'm giving that one to the Warriors because Clermont just haven't been good. I think they've given up the chase.
Okay.
Focus top 14. Then Leinster, La Rochelle, Dublin, La Rochelle also been indifferent. It's Sharks v Sharks, see who's tuna, 7:30. Scarlet's Power, 10 p.m. Leicester Tigers, Bayonne. Leicester have to win their game to stay
They'll
on the
keep
hunt
them up.
to come to Cape Town next weekend with something to play for.
Yep.
And then Sunday, the early game is Harlequin Stormers. We're going to get to that now. Toulon Munster in the south of France. Last season's final, Bordeaux against
What
Northampton
a
Saints.
cracker.
Bordeaux are at home, and then Saracens wrap it up against Toulouse, 7:30. Just the quality of those teams, of those
Sunday
matchups.
afternoon games, mate.
That Sunday is a super Sunday. It's a cracker. It starts off with your team at the Stoop. Now, off air, you told me you thought Harlequins were a particularly good side.
Mate, 1 p.m. kickoff. I mean, it's insane. And apparently it's going to be close to 0 degrees. So frigid at the Stoop for the Stormers.
Well, 1 p.m. is a lot better than 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. in the evening.
No.
No
Sure.
excuses for the Stormers, mate. You're already making them.
I'm not making any excuses. I'm just saying they roll out of bed and basically onto the field, mate. Let's go. You have breakfast and you play.
And then you get on a plane, you're back home Monday morning in the sunny confines of Cape Town.
Yeah. I mean, if your body clock's on SA time, it's 3 p.m., so it's not actually that early.
Yeah, okay. And if you're New Zealand, it's not.
They'll be fine. So, yeah, Stormers,
So
Harlequins
you're still
at the Stoop.
confident your boys?
I am confident.
Regardless of who they put out on the field, there's enough going on. There's enough grounding. There's enough common sense in terms of approach to say that the Stormers will go there, do the business, and come home and await Leicester Tigers.
Do you remember when Nick's team went on that big run, mate? And everybody was like, oh, they're unbeaten. And then there were those guys in the South African rugby public, and you'll remember them even better than me, who were just waiting for that team to lose. They couldn't handle it, that they just kept winning. And then when they finally lost, they said, see, we told you. And that's kind of how we're at that stage now with the Stormers, where the people who don't really dig the Stormers are in that zone now of saying, well, you're unbeaten, but what about? Oh, well, what about this week? And I think the Stormers are unbeaten this season. They're not going to win forever. We're not going to go unbeaten indefinitely. A loss will eventually happen, as much as we don't want it to. I don't think it's going to happen this week, mate. I think this team is on a roll. I think they've heeded some warning signs maybe in the last couple of games. And I think there's an excitement about this game, about going to London, playing at the Stoop, playing against Marcus Smith, mate, one of the great playmakers in world rugby. And I think that's going to be hell of exciting for everybody. So Quins have got a great sort of history and tradition of being expansive and going for it and trying the sort of unconventional. I think that adds to the excitement of this game.
But it shows you how quickly things change. A season ago, the Stormers sent a experimental 50. Let's put it that way. There's no A and B team. Experimental, I want to test the depth.
Look how you smile when you say that.
They sent them to the Stoop and they conceded 50 points.
Yeah.
A lot of those experimental Stormers have come through this season and are playing particularly well.
Yeah.
That Harlequin side that was riding so high have been put on notice that half that squad could be cut if they continue to lose. That's within 12 months.
But you're making my point for me. That's what I mean. People go, oh, you're sending a B team, you've got an A team, this is the D, whatever. At the end of the day, you've got to play the game in the 18 minutes between the lines. You know how it is. So there's obviously merit to that conversation and that argument, but it's about how the team performs on the day. The context of this game is, like you say, Harlequins have basically been put backs against the wall and told win or go home by the club. They're under massive pressure to turn things around there. It's not been a good season for them. They do have quality players there, but the results haven't been there. And the Stormers are very much on the opposite end of the spectrum. I suppose that's where the threat lies, somewhere in between that, where a team that's riding high, unbeaten, comes up against a side with nothing to lose, but everything on the line. And so I think it's going to be a great game. I think it'll be a great game to watch, but I do believe the Stormers systems and the quality of what they're doing will come through.
But if you look also for those who don't necessarily follow the competition with such intensity, every league point is important. As we said at the beginning of the show, home ground advantage is everything to get to a final that's played on neutral territory. It's played in the north of Spain, the Friday, Saturday night in Bilbao. You've got to play that last 16, that last 8 at home. One, commercially is massive for the club, but also the home ground advantage. I think it's a 90% hit rate for teams to win at home. And that's why this match is important for the Stormers.
Massively.
They're top of the table. Again, Leinster are second with
5 points difference.
They are playing at home. They should win comfortably at home. And you can easily go from being ranked 3rd at the moment to being ranked 12th. There could be a league point between it. As we put out those rankings, 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and 13 to 16. Top 8 gets the home ground advantage. So the Stormers will back themselves to beat anyone in Cape Town. Leicester will be coming here fighting for survival. This is the one where the Stormers want to bank, and they want to show we're in that top 8 regardless of that result in Cape Town. And then it does allow them to play, again, a mix and match, and not necessarily a team that is considered their best 23 to get the must-win game, given that the URC is just around the corner again. So there's no such thing as a dead rubber for the South African teams here. And then the one team, if you end, you can go into the EPCR. And we saw the Sharks 2 seasons ago. That was their route back into the Investec Champions Cup. They were poor in the URC. They went on a roll. They beat Gloucester in the final at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They were outstanding in that quarterfinal, semi-final, and final. They got into the Investec Champions Cup. They didn't do it through the top 8 qualification. So there isn't, outside of 1 or 2 clubs that are rooted north from 2 and are playing away from home, everything else to play for in round 3 and going into round 4.
Yeah, and I think as a coach, regardless of which team you're coaching in multiple competitions at the same time. We've spoken how arduous and tricky the Champions Cup is because of the length, the duration between weeks, and the duration of the competition. It's not something that's solved or settled in 6 weeks. As a coach, you have to gamble every single week because you are one injury away from the second stringer being the starter. So you constantly have to keep everybody warm for any eventuality. And you have to get a squad together that's got momentum and belief and form. And there are no easy games. There are no throwaway games where you can go, oh, we'll just play the entire second string and it doesn't really matter what the result is here. So it is important. Every week is important. But, you know, if there's an injury down the line and somebody else can step in, and this has been the case at the Stormers this season, the next man up thing, where maybe it's not your main guys playing in all positions every week and you're still winning, that comes from making sure that everybody is ready to play a part. And I think sometimes having to send a team that is not necessarily your strongest on paper, what fans would say is your strongest, is maybe as important to the success of the campaign as playing your best players in the biggest games, if that makes sense. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying.
Completely, mate. You're not speaking to a dummy.
Okay. Glad to hear it. Thanks for confirming.
I'm not from Durban, mate.
Oh my goodness.
There jy so is 'n wind. Ja, hy sê is awesome jou wind is uitgeslaan. Looking at this, bud, Saracens Toulouse at home. It's the last game on Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. And I know I'm not speaking to a dummy either. Are we allowed to say dummy?
I don't know,
In
mate.
world of ours. Hey? Or slightly challenged intellectually. Okay. So, from a rugby point of view. Saracens at home to Toulouse. Saracens are bloody hard to beat at home. Toulouse dropped one against Glasgow in probably one of the most famous Investec Champions Cup nights. And it was an incredible win for Glasgow at home against Toulouse. Toulouse aren't used to not being top of the table. They drop another one, and you're looking at them having to travel. Where's your money on that one?
My money is on Toulouse, mate. My money is on
Big
Toulouse.
call. It's a big call.
It is a big call. Saracens, mate. Yeah, look, obviously quality team. But I think Toulouse have proven themselves in Europe over the last couple of years. Saracens definitely on the sort of comeback trail to their peak of their powers. But I would say Toulouse are full value. If I was betting money on this game, it would be on Toulouse to win.
Okay, we've had 2 rounds. We're into the 3rd round. and I'll ask you this every week after a round. Who plays in the final in May? If you're just looking at what you've seen,
Yeah.
who makes the final, or who do you think wins it?
Yeah. So I've been on the La Rochelle train for years, right? And obviously they've derailed it a little bit. I like Glasgow, mate. I think Glasgow are URC contenders in heavyweights. I'm not sure they've got the squad depth and quality to sustain that on two fronts and win in Europe as well. But they're right up there. So Bath, similar train for me. Premiership contenders, definitely somebody that can knock you over in Europe, but not necessarily champions. Mate, I've got to say the Stormers so far unbeaten this season. You've got to put them in the mix. I think it comes down to the travel factor in the playoffs. Leinster historically, I'm not naming everybody here, but I think for me the favourites, mates, as much as Bordeaux have had some wobbles, I like Bordeaux. Bordeaux have overtaken La Rochelle in that sort of dark horse wild card, and I mean they've surpassed that. I like Bordeaux and I like Toulouse, and as much as I don't want an all-French final, I think those are two heavyweight teams. If I had to say who would be in the final, it would be those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, you've covered every base there.
I'm just telling you who's on the
the
radar.
Sharks to be
Who's on the radar? I'm not saying all of those teams
No
in the final.
Sharks. There's only one you didn't mention.
Yeah, ideally it's Stormers Bulls in the final.
Okay, yeah. Currie Cup. Cast against Bath. Now, Bath wins away from home there. That's going to be a big win for them. They lost it. They lost to Toulon, so they're 1 from 2. Unexpectedly beaten by Saints. And again, you look at just on the cusp. Saints get a win against Bordeaux. That's going to be massive. They don't get a win. Kind of, again, questions, can they go away in a quarterfinal or semi-final and win and replicate what they did last year? But I have to agree with you. When you look at the collective and you look at the individuals, it's going to take something special to beat Bordeaux. When you look at that backline of theirs, and Jalibert is on fire. I mean, we talk about Sasha, and rightly so internationally.
Yeah.
But when you look at club form, top 14 Investec Champions Cup, Jalibert has just been incredible. And then you look at those two winners, Bielberry and Pinot, and that midfield, those kids that played for France late last year in the early 20s, and then they've got a hell of a strong pack.
Yeah.
I really, for me, I know the Bulls were in a bit of disarray, but they did play with adrenaline. They were 33 points after 40 minutes, and the way they systematically, Luca at 9, the way they came back into that game.
Yeah.
They are a well-coached side. I mean, we can adopt them as well. There's a lot of South African influence there. Heinie Adams and Sean Salby. We always claim that. But they're a good side. It's going to take a special team to beat them. In France, you'd say that team is Toulouse, who could, because historically they've done them often. And then I would say the Stormers, they get through these next 2 weeks unscathed. You've got to put them in the mix. And Leinster, you never write off. And then I think it's Saints as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, you got Saints in there.
Saints in there regardless of what happens this weekend. I think they're a good enough side on a one-off to go away and actually pox the win.
That's a great
But it's starting to take shape. I mean, there's so many good sides there. I haven't even mentioned Saracens. I just don't know about Saracens away form. They even lost in Durban.
Mate, what I will say for those French sides is that they play a lot of rugby. Like, we've played 10 games this season. They've played 14 just in the top 14. So we talk about depth building and squad depth and resources and injuries and the impact of those injuries. That is 320 minutes of extra rugby to go and find your next best scrum half or your next best right wing or whatever whatever position you're short in. I think that extra rugby that these guys have got under the belt by the time we clash certainly helps in the sort of depth building mission for each of the French squads, and for getting answers technically and tactically to things that do and don't work. And to fortifying your home fortress. You've played 4 extra games. You said 2 of those are at home. That's another 2 wins that you've banked. It's, I think, probably a little bit easier to get momentum with the extra rugby for the French clubs. And I mean, when it comes to club rugby, they are the juggernauts. It's the French clubs that are running the show. Leinster have destabilized that a little bit, but you look at right now who the heavyweights, Bordeaux and Toulouse, Toulon in the mix. Power's been doing great things in the top 14. Those are proper teams.
All right, looking at the South African teams, you've got to call it. There's 3 of them playing in the Champions Cup. There's 2 of them playing in the EPCR Challenge Cup. We'll start with the Lions at home to Lyon, and obviously the Cheetahs are at home in Amsterdam. Who are they playing?
Mate, the Cheetahs are playing, is it Ulster? Yeah, Ulster.
Ulster.
Yeah, it's a home game. Yeah. Ulster's my bogey team, mate. I rate them.
Ulster's a good side.
They are a good
They're
side.
a good side. They're well improved from last season.
Yeah.
They should be playing. They're a side good enough to be playing in the Investec Champions Cup.
Yeah.
Who you giving the wins to there?
I'm going to say the Lions win at Ellis Park, mate. Leon, don't come here and beat the Lions. There can be only one Lion. It's going to be Cash's Lions. I like the Lions, as I've mentioned once or twice before. I think they're a great team, potentially. I think there are some holes in the squad that can maybe be filled, but tactically, I think they're very good. And then the Cheetahs against Ulster, mates. As much as I would love to see the Cheetahs beat Ulster, unless Ulster send a really weak inside, I can't see it happening. Ulster on a bit of a roll. Got some great players, good team, and starting to peak at just the right time. I think Ulster win there.
Okay, and then in the Investec Champions Cup, there's 3 South African teams. The big one in Manchester, Shark v Shark. Which Shark survives?
I'm going to say that definitely the Sharks are going to win that game, and it's going to be the Durban Sharks by 3 points, mate. They're going to upset Sale. JP's going to do the business. They're going to have to be the Sale tuner going forward. I know you concur.
I don't. Sharks are going to take a beating. The Sale Sharks are going to give that beating.
Yeah.
And the Sharks are going to be nicely packaged as a canned shredded tuna and sent home to recover for the URC. They'll be better when they play next weekend at home. There's 15 players waiting in the sun.
No, true.
So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Bulls, we both concur.
Definitely. Bulls to beat Bristol.
All right. And it's just never in doubt. We never back against the Stormers. Stormers will win. It doesn't matter where they play. It could be Mars. Could be the Stoop. It could be the DHL Stadium. Those guys find a way to win, whether it's 1 degree, 30 degrees, 1 p.m., 9 p.m. Stormers to win. And if you also want to be a winner, go on to SA Rugby Magazine and register. You go into the pot for 100,000 Rand. Draw to be made in June, just before the incoming tests and the greatest rivalry tour, South Africa against the All Blacks. Tune in to a Super Sport from Friday night, 10 o'clock, all the way through to the big one, Saracens at home against Toulouse, 7:30 in the evening. And go to SA Rugby Magazine, Borchie's Baby. You get all the live reporting from his site. It's the best site. And if you like WhatsApp channels, go to SA Rugby's channel and then go to Keo Zels if you just want to have a smile.
Oh, that's a wonderful score.